What's going on, guys? Welcome in. I am Kadarius Washington, and this is the Sports Rundown. It's a pleasure to have y'all in as always, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Blue Sky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of sports we need to get into. We have to talk about my Boston Celtics, who for the second straight game looked like a bunch of sick dogs and choked a massive lead away. We got to get into OKC having a pretty big response to the Denver Nuggets in game 2 of their matchup. We got to get into the Warriors and the Timberwolves, game 2 of that matchup tonight. And also the Toronto Maple Leafs feeling kind of dangerous. We also got to get into the genius of Mikko Rantanen. We got a couple of NFL storylines for you and a pretty big development coming out of the Preakness as we get you going here on the Sports Rundown. So let's get into the basketball. And of course, the first game of the night, the Celtics taking on the Knicks. First, before I rip my Boston Celtics a new one, let's give credit to the New York Knicks. They have played some absolutely phenomenal basketball on Monday night and, of course, last night. And Tom Thibodeau, man, I was dead wrong about Tom Thibodeau. I said that if the Knicks exit this thing early, that Thibodeau was pretty much as good as gone and pretty much been writing him off for pretty much most of the season. But give him credit, folks. He has done an absolutely incredible coaching job this postseason, and he's absolutely coached his rear end off in these 2 games. Karl-Anthony Towns, of course, bounced back. He had 23 points and 17 rebounds on the game last night. Josh Hart was also great, too. He led the team with 23 points, and Jalen Brunson, absolutely phenomenal all series long. He had 29 points in game 1 and 17 points last night, and hitting those 2 clutch free throws with 12 seconds left in the game. And then how about Mikal Bridges? I mean, look, Mikal Bridges did not, he really did nothing in the first 3 quarters of the game and then scored all 14 of his points in the fourth quarter and having back-to-back games with game-sealing defense, the steal in game 1 and then the block in game 2. I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal. The New York Knicks have been absolutely incredible this season. I mean, of course, they've been hearing all the talk about them not being serious contenders and writing them off, and they've been listening to that. And man, they are definitely taking it to the Celtics so far this series. And if you are a New York Knicks fan, you gotta love sports. You gotta love your team. You gotta love where your team is right now. And you gotta love sports. And now let's look at the other side of this scenario. As a Boston Celtics fan, I'm sick. I am absolutely, positively 100% sick. If you are a Boston Celtics fan like myself, you gotta hate sports. Sports are the worst. I can't stand sports. I loathe sports. First, the Boston Celtics have an absolutely inexcusable performance in game 1, choking away a 20-point lead, shooting 15 for 60 from 3, missing 45 threes in the game. So how do they respond to that? Do you really want to know how they responded to that? Here's how they responded. choking away another 20-point lead, shooting 10 for 40 from three. They've missed a grand whopping total of 75 threes in this series. 25 for 100. I mean, who in the world shoots 100 threes in 2 games to begin with and missing 75 threes in the last 2 games combined? That is gross. That is pathetic. That is gutless, and that is embarrassing. The Boston Celtics ought to be ashamed of themselves. The Boston Celtics look like a sorry excuse of an NBA championship, NBA champion. Now, yeah, they won it last year, obviously, but what we're seeing so far, that's starting to feel like an eternity ago. The Boston Celtics look like an absolutely sorry excuse for a basketball team. Jacking up 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 and choking these games away like a bunch of sick dogs. Absolutely pathetic basketball. Clown car hoops. Clown car hoops at its finest. And Joe Mazzulla, absolutely pathetic coaching by Joe Mazzulla. I mean, at what point, Joe, at what point do you stop jacking up all these threes? When you have a big lead, just keep on driving to the rim. Absolutely horrible coaching by Joe Mazzulla. And I'll tell you this, folks, if Boston loses this series, and especially if they lose in a sweep or they lose in 5 games, the Boston Celtics have to fire Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla's got to go. No excuses. I mean, I've been wanting Joe Mazzulla fired ever since we blew that series. We were down 3-0 anyway, but I still counted a blow. And when we lost that series to Miami a couple of years ago, now obviously I said I owed him an apology after we won the championship. I mean, yeah, and there's that. And now I'm back on my fire Joe Mazzulla soapbox. I mean, my goodness. This live by the 3, not die by the 3 is absolutely dead. This philosophy is in the ground. The Boston Celtics have died from this philosophy so many times that it is sickening. Sickening. If they lose in 4 and 5, Mazzulla's got to go. Period. End of discussion. And Jason Tatum has been absolutely awful this series. He has been awful. I know he is a much better player than how he's playing, but he has been terrible this series. I mean, Porzingis, this whole injury, illness thing, we don't know the extent of that, which is kind of a scary situation. But the only players really for Boston who have really done anything is Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and if you want to put Drew Holiday in there, yeah. But this Boston Celtic team, Tatum has been terrible. And it makes me wonder, what if Steve Kerr was right all along? And I'll say this too. If Boston loses game 3 on Saturday, which, by the way, that game being at 3:30 instead of 8 o'clock is an absolute joke, but that's another discussion for another time. If Boston loses game 3, this thing is over in 5. And not only that, if they lose in 5, not only do I fire Joe Mazzulla, but I would seriously consider, I would really consider, kind of a little bit of a retool, like, test the market with some of our players, because this is absolutely pathetic what the Boston Celtics have been doing. I mean, absolutely pathetic basketball by the Boston Celtics, absolutely pathetic coaching by Joe Mazzulla, and once again, if you are a Boston Celtic fan like myself, you gotta hate sports. And while the Boston Celtics failed to respond from their Game 1 debacle, OKC, they had quite a response for the Denver Nuggets after blowing Game 1 against Denver. And of course, Chet Holmgren with the foul and missing those free throws late in the game, which, by the way, that can't happen. OKC made an absolute statement last night. 87 first half points. Let me say that again. 87 first half points for OKC. Tied the record for most points in any half of a playoff game in NBA history. I mean, honestly, folks, the game was over in the first quarter. I was paying more attention to the hockey, if we're being honest. 45-21, your first quarter score, a 43-point win, and led by as much as 49 in the game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was absolutely brilliant in the game. 34 points, shooting 11 for 13 from the field, 8 players in double figures for OKC. I mean, what an absolute response by the OKC Thunder. Now, listen, folks, I believe that this game 2 was a must-win game for OKC because if they lost, I really did believe that the series was going to be over pretty quickly. But nevertheless, we saw why this team won 68 games in the regular season last night. And folks, this series just got much, much, much more interesting. Excited for game 3 coming up, I believe on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what game 3 has in store for us. And as for Denver, I mean, this is the second time this postseason where they've gotten blown out by 30 or more points, which I mean, if you want to say it's concerning, I mean, I don't know. They had that 117-83 loss to the Clippers in game 3, and they won that series. And now you get this. Bottom line, Denver just came out flat in the game. Just got punched in the face. They looked frazzled, had no answer for OKC last night. And I mean, Jokic, I believe he had 17 points, and then Westbrook having 19 off the bench. But this team just looked frazzled. They just looked stunned. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They just came out flat in the game, but nevertheless, an incredible job there by OKC. And we only have one game on the NBA card tonight. You got the Golden State Warriors taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Of course, Golden State riding with that 1-0 series lead. And of course, the big story in that series, Stephen Curry is out for at least 1 week with a hamstring strain, and he will be out until game 5 if we do get a game 5 in this series at the earliest. Now listen, I never had a hamstring injury before, and knock on wood that I don't get one anytime soon. But one thing that I've seen in sports, those soft tissue injuries are really tricky. And the only thing that you can really do for them is rest them. Plus, Steph Curry is 37, so you definitely have to consider age plays a factor into this. So either we see him sometime next week, or maybe we don't see him at all anymore this postseason. But those soft tissue injuries, very, very, very tricky stuff there. And now listen, if you're the Timberwolves, you have to go at Golden State early. Just like what OKC did to Denver, you got to go at them like that. You got to go at them early. You got to go at them often. I mean, perhaps we see a big night from Anthony Edwards. I mean, he's played great. Maybe we get another great Rudy Gobert game from left field. And Julius Randle has been absolutely incredible this postseason. And maybe we see something from him too. Maybe we see a big game out of him. And listen, if you're Golden State, obviously it's next man up. You got to look to Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and, of course, Buddy Hield for most of the production. Now, listen, Buddy Hield's played well, but he is the one player for Golden State that cannot disappear in this game, especially now that we're in the situation with Curry being out. I mean, if he disappears, Golden State's going to lose this game. But nevertheless, this is going to be a very interesting watch. I like the Timberwolves to win this game and tie the series up at 1 apiece. And of course, we got to talk about the other ongoing conference semifinal game. That's the Cavs and Pacers, as game 3 of that series is on Friday, as the series now shifts to Indiana. And the Cavs, listen, just like the Celtics, find themselves in a 2-0 hole. Now, listen, for the Cavs, it's a little bit different. The injury bug is biting them at the wrong time. No Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley. A whole lot of injuries going on with Cleveland and Tyrese Halliburton. I got to ask y'all a question. Is Tyrese Halliburton still overrated? No, I'm just asking for a friend. Is Tyrese Halliburton still overrated? Because my goodness, Tyrese Halliburton this postseason is absolutely defeating these overrated allegations, especially after that crazy game winner in game 2. Now listen, I feel like if the Pacers win on Friday, this series is going to be over by Tuesday. And it's going to hurt Donovan Mitchell too, because listen, Donovan Mitchell has not made it past the second round in his career. And I thought really this year, this was his best chance for Donovan Mitchell to come out of the second round and go to a conference final. But my goodness, the NBA postseason has been absolutely off the charts. All this time in the East, we thought we were going to get a Boston Cleveland conference final. That's what we've been saying for several weeks now. Boston, Cleveland in the semifinal, two best teams in the East. But my goodness, we could very well be getting New York and Indiana in the postseason again. I mean, the NBA postseason has been turned on its absolute head. And man, if we get Indiana, New York again, that would be a very interesting situation as far as that is concerned. And speaking of off the charts, the Stanley Cup playoffs have been absolutely incredible. Absolutely phenomenal hockey. Playoff hockey is awesome. And the Toronto Maple Leafs taking a 2-0 series lead over the Florida Panthers. I'm going to be honest with you folks. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking a 2-0 series lead over the Panthers was not on my bingo card. This is the first time that they've held a 2-0 series lead in two series in the same postseason since 1963. And of course, we've heard all the narratives. Of course, the Maple Leafs not winning a Stanley Cup since 1967, and a whole lot of follies and debacles to follow as far as postseason success is concerned. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, we could have something here. Now, listen. The series is far but over. I still have trust issues with the Maple Leafs. I mean, I'm still very, very worried that they're going to choke a game away. They're a choking hazard. I mean, that's why I have all these trust issues, because the Toronto Maple Leafs historically have been a choking hazard. But nevertheless, incredible hockey. I thought in game 1 they were going to choke that thing away, and I thought that was pretty much going to be a harbinger of things to come. But nevertheless, incredible hockey from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And speaking of incredible hockey, how good has Mikko Rantanen been? I mean, Mikko Rantanen has been an absolute star, no pun intended, this postseason. Second straight hat trick for Mikko Rantanen. And the thing about it, last night, Mikko Rantanen had a natural hat trick in 2 periods. The first period and the second period. And of course, the Stars hold on for that 3-2 win over the Jets in game 1. Now listen, out of all of the series so far in the Stanley Cup playoff, this Stars-Jets series is going to be my absolute favorite. I've been absolutely looking forward to this series. And listen, folks, I absolutely love playoff hockey. We got a doubleheader tonight. We got the Hurricanes taking on the Caps in game 2 of that series. And the Hurricanes defeating the Capitals in 2-1 in overtime, and Jacob Slavin with that game winner. And of course, my Vegas Golden Knights looking to bounce back from that 4-2 loss, where the Oilers scored 4 unanswered goals between the first in the first period and the third period, one in the first and then three alone in the second period. But I'm definitely looking forward to the hockey. And let's get to the NFL, as we had some pretty big news yesterday and also today too. We got to start with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as way early yesterday morning we wake up to the news that the Pittsburgh Steelers traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys for a six let me say it like this. The Dallas Cowboys acquired George Pickens along with a 2027 sixth rounder from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers get a 2026 third rounder and a 2027 fifth rounder. Now, listen, folks, I really like this pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. I like the pickup. I mean, look at George Pickens' numbers in the last three seasons. 2022, 52 receptions for 801 yards and four touchdowns. 2023, 63 receptions for 1,140 yards and five touchdowns. And then, of course, last season, 59 receptions for 900 yards and three touchdowns. So that is an absolutely incredible pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Pickens being on the other side of CeeDee Lamb, adding to that wide receiver room. Now, listen, although it does make the Cowboys better, I don't know how much better per se it makes the Cowboys, because they still need some running backs, because that running back room last season was absolutely awful for Dallas. And of course, no running backs picked up for the Cowboys in this year's draft, and I haven't really seen much from them as far as offseason is concerned, as far as trying for a running back. But nevertheless, this is an incredible pickup for the Dallas Cowboys and for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, folks, throughout this offseason, for the last few weeks, I have been asking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's their plan? What is the Pittsburgh Steelers' plan? I mean, and then we get the report earlier today, that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't know anything more about Aaron Rodgers than they did before the draft. And look at their quarterback room: Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and drafting Will Howard. Passing on Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart for Will Howard, which, once again, credit to Will Howard, incredible season out of Ohio State. But seriously, folks, what's Pittsburgh's plan? I mean, of course, hidden by all the winning, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been a revolving door as it comes to quarterback play. And now they're a revolving door as it comes to wide receivers, because look at the notable wide receivers to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers: Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and now George Pickens. I mean, listen, of course, Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin, they're going to find a way to win 9 games and lose in the wild card. And that's the thing, folks. Despite all the winning, the Pittsburgh Steelers have not won a playoff game in almost 10 years. They have not won a playoff game since 2016. They find a way to win their 9 games and they just go out. I mean, of course, winning masks pretty much everything, but out of all the successful franchises in the NFL, as far as winning is concerned, Pittsburgh may very well be the worst of them, especially with their postseason success. I mean, like I said, every time we think this is it, this is going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season, he wins 9 games. Now, listen, I understand that some Pittsburgh fans even wanted Tomlin gone, which I really do not understand that argument, because the minute you fire Mike Tomlin, other teams are gonna fire their coaches just to hire him. But very, very interesting stuff there for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I still don't know what their plan is. I mean, seriously, what's their plan? What's their route to success? I mean, I don't know. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been. I just can't get a read on the Steelers. I really, 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 really can't get a read on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also some news from my Carolina Panthers, too, as my Panthers released Jadeveon Clowney, of course, coming off the season last year where he had 5.5 sacks, and before that he had 9.5 sacks in Baltimore. But Carolina definitely retooling our defense, which was historically bad. Signing Patrick Jones the second, and then drafting Nick Thornton and Prince Anamaliellen, or however you pronounce the dude's name. Drafting them as far as our edge is concerned. As the Panthers, like I said, historically bad defense. We're working on our pass rush, so very interesting. Us giving up to Jadeveon Clowney. And also news today, Jonathan Brooks placed on the physically unable to perform list after re-tearing his ACL in our week 14, I think it was, week 14 game last season. And so Jonathan Brooks is going to be out for the 2025 season. And listen, very, very unfortunate stuff for Brooks. I mean, I was looking forward to him being our running back too. I mean, he played well in the games that he did play in, but that's the thing. He only played for a couple of games. But nevertheless, Jonathan Brooks done for the 2025 season. And here's another story that I want to get into. So obviously, I said on the sports rundown, one of my favorite sporting events on the sports calendar is Triple Crown, Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and the Belmont. And so the Kentucky Derby winner, Preakness, Sovereignty, is scratched from the Preakness. He's not racing in next week's Preakness, and trainer Bill Mott pretty much said that it's for the best interest in the horse, and he's going to be waiting for the Belmont. And NBC Sports racing analyst Randy Moss said that most trainers hate running their horses back in 2 weeks, especially after a peak performance. And the trainer of Derby winners that do run it back in the Preakness don't really do it because they like it, but they do it because of the sense of tradition. Now, folks, there's two ways to look at this. There's two different ways of looking at this. Number one, if Sovereignty is healthy and feeling good enough to run, he should absolutely run the Preakness. Try for the Triple Crown. I mean, listen, if he has a cracked hoof, a leg issue, or he has some sort of illness, spitting up his hay or what have you, then obviously we're having a different conversation. But in the last nearly 50 years, we've only seen two Triple Crown winners. American Pharoah in 2015 and Justify in 2018. Now, I'm sure, kind of like the Randy Moss quote, I'm sure that most other owners and trainers who would win the Kentucky Derby would like to have a shot at the Preakness. Now, at the Triple Crown at the Preakness. And listen, I know there were some concerns about if we did get a Triple Crown winner, it would have a asterisk because of the Belmont being held at Saratoga once again this year because of renovations that are being done to the Belmont Park. But it's still history. It's still something very, very rare that happens in sports. So yeah, try for the Triple Crown. Plus, a lot of casual horse racing fans like myself would be very interested in seeing the Kentucky Derby winner try for the Triple Crown. I mean, without the Kentucky Derby winner at the Preakness, all the juice for the Preakness beforehand is pretty much gone. Now, I don't want to say it's irrelevant because it's still the second jewel of the Triple Crown. But I will say, you're not going to get 25 million people to watch the Preakness next week, just like you did with the Kentucky Derby. Now, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say this is too fast of a turnaround from the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness. How do you fix it? So I was reading an article yesterday, and I saw one way of how you fix it. You have the Kentucky Derby on the first Saturday in May, as is tradition. you move the Preakness up to the first Saturday in June and the Belmont the first Saturday in July. This way, you can get more Derby horses involved in the Preakness and then those in the Preakness involved in the Belmont. Now, obviously, this year, once again, we're most likely going to have to settle for the consolation prize at the Belmont in June, seeing the Kentucky Derby winner and Sovereignty face off against the Preakness winner, whoever that might be. But honestly, folks, I think both things can be true at the same time. I think, for one, the if Sovereignty is good enough to run the Kentucky Derby, he should absolutely run and try for history. Now, I don't know if this is a Mott decision or an owner decision, but if he's good enough to run, he should absolutely run. But I do also think it is a little bit fast of a turnaround. And if you space it out a little more, you may get a little more engagement as far as the horses are concerned. Well, folks, we have a very, very fun week coming up in the sports world with the playoffs and the hockey and the baseball and everything, and I am definitely looking forward to all of it. Well, folks, that is going to do it for the sports rundown. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again. Also, follow me on Twitter and on Blue Sky at CW Talk Sports, CWTALKS Sports, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.